Eyes, 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 eyes.
Happy to have the defensive coordinator of the Badgers, Jim Leonhard, here with us. Coach, such a high bar has been set here defensively. What's the biggest challenge for this particular group in terms of living up to that history?
I think obviously new year, new unit, there's going to be different faces out there. We've had a ton of experience. The situation I walked into a year ago, and a lot of those guys graduated, and the guys that you know about, the leaders that are back, really good players, very talented, and really taking the torch from the senior group that left. And the rest of the guys are young, hungry, just not many people know their names.
How do you coach a young team differently than the first group that you inherited?
I think you just have to spend so much more time on just situational football. We're big on it here anyway, and just how every play is not the same. If you're playing every play like it's the same, you're doing it wrong. So a young group, you're getting them to understand how to communicate and what to emphasize, just what's important every single day. And then, once again, the situational football that's going to come up, that's going to win and lose games throughout the season.
How have you liked the progression of the defensive line thus far?
Very pleased. We got a young group, once again, very coachable. We moved Caden Lyles over. He's a guy that picked it up very fast coming from the offensive line. And a lot of young guys, once again, that have been waiting and just watching really good football in front of them. And then now it's their turn. So you got a lot of guys competing for spots and really big roles. And just excited to see Olive step up into a leadership role. He hasn't had to be in that in the past. He just kind of do his job. Now it's going to be more expected of him and how he handles himself and how he helps that group.
Tell us about a few of the competitions that are really close that you really don't know right now which guy would start.
I think the corner position, a lot of young talent. Cesar Williams has the experience from last year, being our third corner most of the year. You look outside of that, and not many guys have significant reps. But Cesar Williams playing extremely well. Deron Harrell, Fayon Hicks, Madison Cone, Dante Burton, all young guys that you look across the field, and they're competing every day and just continuing to get better. And I think that's going to play out over the next couple weeks, just seeing how those roles develop.
Has Scott Nelson locked down that other safety spot thus far?
I think he's jumped out in the lead for sure. Obviously, we feel very comfortable with Dakota Dixon. He's played a lot of football, and just finding out what complements him the best and who can make plays in the back end and communicate. And Scott's done a great job. Physical presence back there, and really has a nose for the ball. He's one of those guys that just finds it. So I think he's jumped out. Pat Johnson's really taken a big step in his progression. He's another guy that earns every rep, and he leaves it all out on the field.
A linebacker, we know about the inside guys, Edwards and Connolly, I should say. You've got Van Ginkel, who's a known commodity on the outside, but fill us in on the rest of the outside backers and how you see that coming together.
Big-time competition right now. I think Zach Bond is a guy that we've been very high on in the past, and had some injury issues and wasn't able to get on the field and playing at a high level, as we would expect. Outside of that, it's a lot of young guys. Tyler Johnson played significant minutes for us last year in a kind of a backup role, elevating himself. Christian Bell, Noah Burks, a couple young guys that, it's their time. They're really feeling that it's an opportunity to go win a role and do something well and earn reps from it. So fun competition. Obviously, Andrew Van Ginkel is a guy that at the end of the year might have been our best player on defense. The last couple games played extremely well and impacted games, and we're excited for him once again to kind of take the next step into that #1 guy.
Jim Leonhard, the defensive coordinator here at Wisconsin. Coach, thanks a lot for your time.
All right, thanks for having me.